So, folks, I was saying that I'm still so filled with grief for what has happened, for the news that has emerged from the Bakassi Peninsula regarding the situation of the divisional, of the colonial, unfortunately I have to call it that, colonial divisional officer of Idabato, Mr. Roland Ewane, who has finally been killed by his abductors. I have been so aggrieved since the images emerged. And I said, if Mr. Ewane Roland were a citizen of La République du Cameroun, La République du Cameroun would not have ignored all the pleas of the family. La République du Cameroun would have taken measures. They would have paid the ransom. Because we saw La République du Cameroun pay ransom in billions of CFA to Boko Haram in the far north of La République du Cameroun to free their citizens. Some of them not even to the rank of a divisional officer, to free the wife of a minister, to free citizens of a foreign country, France. They paid billions ransom. But because this one concerned a southern Cameroonian, and many of them are out there who will not learn from this example, because many of these examples are bound, who will not learn from this example, but will continue to claim that they're looking for bread, to go and sacrifice your life for a system that doesn't care about you, that doesn't even see you as a human being, that doesn't recognize you as one who deserves any attention when you are in distress. Oh yes, I watched this clip on Canal 2 and I've been so tearful ever since then. Watch yourselves.
Sujet majeur au cœur de l'actualité, la peur continue d'enfler dans la famille du sous-préfet d'Idabato, enlevé le 1er octobre dernier par des pirates dans la péninsule de Bakassi. Les assaillants menacent de le tuer, exigeant en échange de sa vie une rançon de près de 600 millions de francs CFA, des appareils et la libération de leurs collègues emprisonnés à Boya. La famille vit des moments de forte angoisse. Son épouse particulièrement a perdu le sommeil depuis lors. Entre frayeur et terreur, Rose Ewane est à cœur ouvert dans ce reportage exclusif signé Arnaud Ngueffac et Jean-Bernard Tanier.
Il était 2h45, je crois, ce fameux 1er octobre, je crois que c'était un mardi.
For those of you who do not understand French, I want to say that this is a special report conducted by some reporters of a Canal 2 in Boya, talking to the family, to the wife there, the spouse of the now deceased, the divisional officer of Idabato, Mr. Ewane Roland. And, you know, she's recounting all the efforts that have been made. She's talking about the demands that were made. How the guy started by asking for a lot of money, $7 million, down to $3 million, down to $1 million. I mean, which gets out to about 700 million CFA, down, and the family making all kinds of efforts, trying to gather even their own little money, but they could not get even 1/10 of what was being requested, and how the family contacted the government through the colonial governor, Okala Bilai Bernard, in Boya, and he said there is nothing that he could do, nothing that the family could even do, because it was a diplomatic issue between the government of Cameroon and that of Nigeria, and the family kept being in disarray morning until when they received the now viral video of Mr. Roland Ewane, who is suspended and being treasured. Hear him crying like a baby. Yet, the government of Cameroon was not moved until this moment. Let's finish.
Que je reçois un appel venant du maire d'Idabato. Maman, les mauvais garçons sont entrés dans la ville. Ils ont pris ton mari. Alors je lui pose la question, toi tu es où? Pendant qu'on récupère mon mari, toi tu es où? Il a raccroché. En passant, il habite dans la case de passage de la commune. Il n'a pas de résidence. Donc dans cette case de passage, se trouvent le maire et son épouse, l'adjoint au maire et son épouse, et d'autres enfants du maire, avec les photos qui circulent déjà dans les réseaux, que vous-même vous avez déjà vues. Ça ne va plus avec ma santé. Je suis déjà à moitié morte. Vous pouvez le voir comment ma tête tremble. C'est pas...
So you hear this? That man is living in Idabato without an official residence. They're living in what you call a guest house and all of those things. The poor woman is explaining how her health and everything is failing. When will these southern Cameroonians learn that they have to stop serving this bloody regime? That they have to stop providing unsolicited sacrifices. See how they're being mocked by this kind of abandonment. We saw it first with one gentleman in Jakiri who decided to go out there and march with two other people from Yaoundé. When they said don't go, his body was found on the street some days after. No remorse, nothing from the Yaoundé-led regime. His family is abandoned to take care of himself, no form of recognition. We saw it again with this lady in Bamenda, or this so-called assistant mayor, who refused, according to stories, because I've really not confirmed this, although some people close to the family say it's real, that at the time she was murdered, her husband was in a flight heading to the United States to participate at the wedding of their own daughter, and she refused to travel because she wanted to stay behind and mobilize people against the people's call so that they should go out there and watch a dehumanizing and insulting video, a mocking video glorifying Paul Biya. What has the regime done? We saw mayors in Boyo. These are people who were never elected by Southern Cameroonians because Southern Cameroonians boycotted those elections clearly, and even Elekam, that often lies, could not claim that up to 5% of the population voted. And we all know that the so-called 5% represented La République du Cameroon colonial servants in our land, including their forces of occupation. These are things that pain. They hurt me. Because by day and by night, these people see all the evidence that all the sacrifices, the martyrdom they want to get for La République du Cameroon is unsolicited, because La République du Cameroon doesn't care. If they picked up just a domestic servant of a divisional officer or citizen of La République du Cameroon somewhere, they would have paid the ransom. The government would at least have opened negotiations. Hell no. Let's finish with this clip.
À moi qui le fais, ça tremble comme ça seul.
Englouti par la peur, une épouse déboussolée, son époux, enlevé le 1er octobre dernier dans la presqu'île de Bakassi, à Idabato, est toujours entre les mains des pirates 7 semaines après.
Mr. Roland, yes. How much do we agree for you to pay us? Yes, failure to bring it, what will happen to you?
Ces images de torture du sous-préfet Roland Ewanet.
So you hear that when they had gone down from $7 million to $3 million to $1 million and now to $700,000, the government of Cameroon said, do with him what you want. Do what you want to do with him. We don't care, because he's not a human being, or he's a subhuman. He's a deputy citizen, he's an assistant citizen, not a full citizen. Do whatever you want to do with him. At this moment that I'm talking, there are others who are in dangerous places, sacrificing their lives in the name of a divisional officer representing the government of Cameroon in a land where the people have rejected colonialism. At the moment I'm doing this presentation, there are some people somewhere calling themselves mayors, impostors, claiming to be under a court known as CPDM. My people, you have to learn. Your sacrifices are unsolicited. Your martyrdom is stupidity, because La République du Cameroon only needs you to advance its purpose. When you're in trouble, you're on your own. you haven't learned this, let's finish up.
Prise dans une situation inhumaine et dégradante, envoyée par des pirates à son épouse, hante la famille. Sous ces images, une rançon presque hors de prix demandée.
Ils sont partis de 5 millions avec les supplices. Ils sont allés à 3 millions de dollars. De 3 millions de dollars, ils sont allés à 1 million de dollars. Et depuis hier, ils parlent de 700 000 dollars. 10 groupes électrogènes. Un engin moteur Yamaha de 200 chevaux et la libération des Nigérians qui se retrouvent en prison à Boya.
La famille, par ses propres moyens, n'a à peine mobilisé que le centième de la somme exigée. Désespérée, l'épouse est à bout. Les menaces sont persistantes et sa santé insolente.
Vous voyez comment ma tête tremble. C'est comme si j'avais déjà la maladie de Parkinson. Le stress quotidien. Quand les pirates matin, midi et toi avec une voix qui peut tuer quelqu'un dans les menaces et tu entends la voix de ton époux pleurant dans l'arrière-plan, dans le background. Frère, vous croyez que je vais me dire que je suis presque morte? Je suis à moitié morte.
Le recours à l'administration n'a rien produit de visible jusqu'ici.
J'ai rencontré le gouverneur. On a parlé, il m'a dit que c'est une situation diplomatique entre le Nigeria et le Cameroun et que moi je ne peux pas gérer la situation. Tout ce que je dois faire c'est...
Sujet est majeur.
So, did you hear that? She met the colonial governor and he said it's a diplomatic issue, you can't. These people were also requesting prisoner swap. They have some of theirs who are in the prisons maintained by the Republic du Cameroon in Boya. What was so difficult to free these prisoners in exchange for the life of someone who has decided to go even against the wishes and aspirations of his people to serve you, Yaoundé regime? They could never open up such negotiations. But they did that with Boko Haram when it concerned their citizens. They did that with Boko Haram, a well-known terrorist group, when it concerned French citizens, citizens of other countries. They did that. If you don't learn from this, how else will you learn? As if that is not enough, this is another one. The picture you find on my screen here is of Mr. Langsy Abel. Mr. Langsy Abel is a former mayor of Bafut, of the Bafut Council, that is in Mezam County. Mr. Langsy Abel, I'll say, was former mayor because he was actually duly elected mayor at the time when our people were participating in elections, and he was duly elected mayor under the banner of the opposition Social Democratic Front. I've received word that Mr. Langsy Abel has been kidnapped now and has been in the hands of his kidnappers for 4 days. Today will be the 5th day. This 20th of November will be the 5th day since he was kidnapped, and I'm relying on news that I got from Kumbom Elvis Makati under the banner of his platform known as Makati News, who at least sits on the ground and could do some investigations to feed us with this. And this is the information that he shared, that Mr. Langsy Abel had already spent his 5th night this 20th made the 6th night, and he claims that is in amber captivity, because that's what Makati says, that amber captivity. By amber here means that he is captured by the Southern Cameroon Self-Defense Volunteers. But I want you to listen to his narrative all the way to the end, and then you will determine in whose captivity he is, so you understand this. These are people we have said, stop participating in Cameroon politics because it is not helpful. They say, the local population recounts that the former mayor was kidnapped exactly 5 days ago. This was as of yesterday, and nothing has been heard from him since. His family has not been contacted by the kidnappers, and no demands have been made, which means there has been no demands for ransom. And he says Langsy Abel was last seen donating books and other school supplies to orphans in Bafut through the Langsy Foundation on Wednesday, November 13, 2024. And it says the following day, that's on November 15, he was abducted from the premises of the Bafut District Hospital, where he had gone to visit a patient. This is according to Makati, Akumbom Elvis Makati of Makati News. So he says Langsy Abel had been residing in Bafut for some time. So he had been in Bafut. He had been with the people. In the communities. Nothing happened to him. He had been there for some time. Nothing happened to him. And he says, according to sources in Bafut, it is alleged that the mayor was kidnapped due to his efforts to re-establish and revitalize the Social Democratic Front SDF party in Bafut. The subdivision had lost momentum in opposing the government for nearly 8 years since the start of the armed conflict in Anglophone Cameroon. I'm reading exactly what he said. Now, come to it. He says that people say this kidnap is because Mr. Langsy Abel was making efforts to re-establish the SDF party in Bafut. And he says the party had lost momentum in Bafut, lost momentum in opposing the government party, that's the CPDM party, for 8 years. So, my people, who does it benefit, the kidnap of Mr. Langsy Abel? If Mr. Langsy Abel is trying to revitalize the SDF in Bafut, where the CPDM is supposedly in control, whose interest is at stake here? Is it the interest of Amba or the interest of the contraband called CPDM? I like us to reason here, because I have said here over and over, and the late John Frundi, that is this chairman of the Social Democratic Front, said himself with his voice that a lot of those who were organizing kidnappings in the southern Cameroons were gangs sponsored by CPDM regime barons like Atanga Ponji, Fu Jonathan, Fu Callistus, all of them. There's none of them that's exempted. Anyone whose name I've not called doesn't mean it's exempted. All of them. The CPDM court members in the entire southern Cameroons are behind this. Don't forget that I have said here before that the notion, this kidnapping for ransoms and the serious, torture they exerted on the people was planned at the residence of a former minister of forestry, Tani Mbianyo Clarkson, at a meeting of the so-called Southwest elite at his residence in the Level in Yaoundé. I said this before. I reported this over and over. So you see here, in this case, it should be clear beyond reasonable doubt before anyone that those who have kidnapped Mr. Langsy Abel are CPDM hoodlums, for the reason that is clearly stated here, that they don't want to share the terrain with anyone. That's why there's no ransom being demanded. That's why you don't be surprised to get up one morning and find that it is his remains that will be picked. Because as Makati himself says, Mr. Langsy Abel has been in the community, has lived in the community for some time now. The self-defense volunteers are all over the place. Nobody ever touched him. But when he got up and said he wants to revitalize the activities of the opposition Social Democratic Front in Bafut, he is kidnapped. Whose interest is at stake here? Mr. Makati Akumbom, I trust your ability to investigate news. Go back to work, and you will discover that Southern Cameroon's self-defense volunteers have absolutely nothing to do in this matter. Of course, your reporting clearly establishes that. It clearly establishes persons or groups of interest in this particular matter. Again, when would these politicians learn that there is time for everything? The time now is not for stupid, lousy party politics that the people are not interested in. The time now is for liberation of our land. Is to send away occupational forces and the colonial administration out of our land. they can come after and do politics. This is something that we must continue to tell them on a daily basis. I'd like to thank all of you who took off time from your very busy schedule to be part of this live show. Share the link as much as you can. Let's reach as many people as we can. And I want to also take this opportunity to thank all of you who continue to contribute your finances, who continue to provide support through this platform to some of our people facing serious challenges in the refugee camps, some who are in hospital, some who are in the bushes and needing serious help. The assistance that you continue to send in through the Ambazonian Relief Fund, I really want to express thanks to all of you who continue to provide this support. It is really, really very much welcome, and it is helping us tremendously. So thank you for watching, and I hope we meet again pretty soon on this platform. Until then, it's have a nice time.